Dr. Park is a Korean American dual board certified facial plastic and reconstructive surgeon in New York. Named a super doctor in New York Times Magazine, she was the first female facial plastic surgeon on Long Island and recently contributed to an exclusive BBC Storyworks global film series showcasing her innovative and unique take on wellness in the medical beauty space. Dr. Park is the founder of Airem, the first Korean beauty inspired medical aesthetic spa in the US based on the concept of gwali, a century old Korean principle of maintaining self care. Dr. Park's unique postpartum journey after the birth of her third child was the inspiration in creating a beauty and wellness sanctuary that could bridge the wellness and aesthetic industry together. Recognized for outstanding work in medicine and unique story, Dr. Park was filmed by BBC's Storyworks commercial productions for the series In Pursuit of Wellness, a collection of short films that explore both ancient traditions and modern innovations. Hey everyone, welcome back to Live the Glamour Chat. I am so excited to be here with Dr. Park. I've experienced some of her products and we've chatted a little bit, and we have a lot to cover. And I think it's going to be some very interesting topics, including K-beauty and our rituals for self-care and things like that. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Park. How
Thank
are you?
you. I'm really excited to be a part of this and really just excited to talk more about a couple of things that you and I have already kind of delved into, which is everything that has to do with beauty, clinical K beauty, self-care, meditation, and kind of how all of that comes together.
I'm so excited. These are the topics that I care about so much and I'm so focused on. I'd first like to do a little intro about yourself and how you got started in facial plastic surgery.
Yeah, so I am a facial plastic surgeon, and I was born in South Korea and grew up in New York City. And so I did all of my surgical training in Manhattan. I went through medical school at Stony Brook Med School on Long Island, and founded Airem Modern Beauty Rituals in 2020.
Oh,
And so,
wow.
the word Aram comes from the Korean word for beauty, which
Mm,
is aramdawn, and it's derived from that word. And there were a lot of just aspects of practice
mm,
in beauty and in medicine that inspired me to create a space where we can bridge both more traditional beauty and tea rituals and also incorporate really innovative clinical K beauty and aesthetic treatments.
I like that. I think having your background, it plays really well into this because I think there's such a connection between the clinical side of beauty, but then also this more ritual and the self-care side of things and the things that we can do that aren't necessarily, that we can do for ourselves. So I think tying those two together makes a big difference. How, I guess, can you explain a little bit of the that side of it, the K beauty, maybe the rituals, and then also the clinical side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that K beauty, Korean beauty, has made such an impact in beauty and skincare in general. I think that it has to do with a combination of just very innovative, interesting ingredients. And people think of ingredients such as, snail serum,
Yes.
right? They also equate Korean beauty and skincare with having really luminous and radiant skin. And that's as opposed to being very makeup focused, right?
Right.
And I think culturally, there's a very deep, deep sense of interest and care
Mm,
taken in skincare in general, like within the culture.
mm,
And so that's where the K-beauty skincare element, I think,
okay.
comes from. And what Aram is bringing to the US is really highlighting a level of clinical K-beauty. What many people don't know is that Seoul and Korea is really one of the capitals of aesthetic innovation and
Hmm.
clinical innovation. And we're talking about laser treatments, microneedling, radiofrequency microneedling. They are also pioneering aesthetic protocols.
Hmm.
There are things like skin boosters and exosomes and lots of very, very high level clinical aesthetic treatments that really show results.
Wow.
And so we are highlighting all of those elements in Airem Modern Beauty
Hmm.
Rituals.
Would you say those are less invasive, those type of treatments also? Like to
Yeah,
keep
I mean,
people away
as
from that I think there's that concern where no one we're moving away from wanting to do these big, huge, invasive surgeries and more towards like what can I still do to keep my youthful skin and glow, but then, what treatments are available, but then also still see results.
Yeah, I mean, I think I totally agree with you that people are completely results driven. I think because we have a lot of information now and we can look at social media and look at videos. And I mean, there's such an interest too. I'm a facial plastic surgeon. So I also have patients who love to watch really intense surgical procedures, and then others who would never have surgery and are
Right.
interested in non-surgical procedures. But the common theme in both of those sets of patients are that they're looking to see visible results.
Mm.
And skincare is definitely foundational. We all know that we should be using sunscreen.
Mm.
We know, and many people are really now educated and very interested in skincare ingredients like vitamin C and antioxidants and retinols. And there's a lot of education on social media on those products. And I think it's really important at what stage of life we're in, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
when we're a teenager and in our 20s, then I think that, doing a very minimal, basic, skincare routine
Mm.
is really all that's necessary, right?
Right,
And
right.
that's really a different conversation. I'm in my 40s. So people who are in their 30s, 40s, and then now 50s, 60s,
Mm.
70s, 80s, it's a totally different conversation. So
Right.
that's why I think that the decade and the age of life and
Makes
the
sense.
stage of life that we're in is important.
Mm.
And I think that there is a huge interest and a growing interest in both non-surgical and surgical procedures.
Interesting. Wow. It's so, I think it's fascinating. I think it's good that you said that too about the age where we fall into, because there's a lot of confusion. And I feel like even very young, early 20s, they're being told so much stuff, and researching and doing so many different things, and they don't realize that that is the foundation maybe for their skincare to start with that process, to some of these rituals that you have in place. Especially like I love the face mask that you have. I think it's so great. And I feel like something like that, if you can start doing that, and I mean, maybe you would talk to this better, but in your 20s, and things like that. And then as you move into your 30s and 40s, have that foundation that you started with and can move on to, maybe something more surgical.
Yeah, what's really interesting in our practice is that we see patients who've never done anything before. We
Hmm.
see patients who don't have a zero skincare routine. Right? And they
Wow.
confess to us, they say, I don't really even wash my face. Like sometimes
Wow.
in the morning, they're just like, oh yeah, I just like throw on a little water. I don't use sunscreen. I don't really even like to put moisturizer on my face.
Interesting.
So we see patients who have almost non-existent
Yeah.
skincare to those who are really savvy
Mm.
about aesthetic procedures and injectables and fillers and surgical procedures too. So we experience and guide patients through each stage of that process.
Mm.
And I think that the one element that I feel like is very unique about Airem and was a very important part of launching Airem is that there has to be a more holistic,
Ah,
like a more inner and outer
mm.
beauty reflection
I love
that
that.
needs to take place. And that's really the basis of the ritual box, which
Mhm.
you experienced
Yes,
and
I have to show
shared with
it because
all of us.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have
And
to
I
show
think
that.
it's also rooted in the Aram retreat,
Mm.
which is where we combine tea meditation and beauty rituals.
Oh.
So it's a very unique experience. It's very simple,
Mm.
right? It's an experience where friends or just we also hold community retreats where even strangers who just sign up,
Oh,
they just want to experience something different. Get out of the house and like meet new people. And
I
so
like
our
that.
community retreats are also a way for people to come together, and um, we have a retreat room which is at the center of our office. It's sort of like at the heart of the whole Airem complex. And the retreat room is modeled
Mm.
after a hanok. So a hanok is uh, a traditional Korean home. And there are these very beautiful traditional homes where you can think of like sliding doors, right?
Yeah.
And that room is where we hold the tea meditation. And it's a very simple process where we take some time to reflect on elements that we are grateful for. We take the time to think about and just appreciate parts of ourselves that we think are beautiful.
Mm. Oh, wow.
And then it also allows for us to be able to make room
Mm.
to let go of certain elements that are not really serving the best purpose for us.
Mm.
And something as simple as that, we all know research shows that even having 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes of quiet time, time to disconnect from everything that's surrounding us,
Mm.
helps us to feel more calm in multiple ways, right? Whether it's blood pressure, heart rate. So there's a real physiologic connection
Mm.
between our mental health and our physical health. And the reason why that's so important in beauty is because we are so bombarded by what we should look like, or the pressure of that is so intense.
Yes.
And I live that every day. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a facial plastic surgeon.
Right.
See patients in consultation. I've seen, I would say, thousands of patients now in my 12
Right.
plus years,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
So
long time.
12 plus years of practicing facial plastic surgery, both non-surgical and surgical treatments. And I see thousands of patients, and I see beautiful people
Mm.
who who appreciate and feel very confident in themselves, and are also looking to reflect the best version of themselves.
Makes sense.
And then I also see really beautiful people who are not appreciating how beautiful they are,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
then seeking elements of these aesthetic treatments that will never fill that void.
Mm-mm.
And in that experience, I always thought, isn't there a way? Could there be a way where we can bridge kind of this more internal, deeper reflection of
Mm.
beauty with offering also the best curated treatments that we feel are effective?
That is such
That's
a
kind of
oh,
how
that is
how
such
the Aram retreat was created.
I love it. That is an amazing way to connect everything, and it just makes sense to get your mind in that headspace, so that way you can see yourself from the perspective that you should see yourself in the in a different I think being able to meditate and get yourself in that different mind space can help you then make the decisions that how what do I want to do and how do I see myself. And we all want to have, I think, continue to have a glow about ourselves and to reflect, like you said, what's inside. I think a lot of us still feel very youthful inside and feel like we have our personalities and our excitement and joy and happiness inside, and we just want to make sure that's reflected on the outside too. So that's
Absolutely. I mean, I think that it's very confusing for women in general
mm,
because we are bombarded by a lot of information, and it's almost a damned if you do and damned if you don't kind of environment. And sometimes we want to be empowered to make decisions on injectables and fillers and
right.
surgery, but at the same time feel very judged sometimes when we choose to do that. But
Yeah.
I do think that I have seen, at least over the past 10 years,
Mm,
that the environment is changing and people are
yeah.
really accepting those that choose not to do certain aesthetic
Right.
treatments. and then those who do. So I feel like that's great, and I
Yeah.
love to see the evolution of the acceptance of.
That is nice. Yeah, that it's okay. You
Mhm.
called, I know when we talked before, you called Korean, and I want to make sure I say it the right way. Gwali? Am I
Yeah,
saying that right?
quality. Yeah.
Gwali.
Mhm.
And that's the term that you use for self-care,
Yeah,
correct?
and so quali, translated very literally, means the care of.
Hmm.
to,
Okay.
to take care of, but there's a deeper meaning to it. You can use it in many different ways. You can say quali your skin, and that
Oh.
means not just just splashing water on your skin, but it means really intentionally having sort of a very like deep purpose driven skincare regimen. And it doesn't have to be extensive, it doesn't have to be 10 step, it doesn't have to be it's just a more very intentional way of taking care of your skin. You can quali your body, which
Hmm.
means living a very healthy lifestyle. You quali your mental health, which means you're taking time to, just spend time thinking about positive things, making sure that you are processing, you know,
Hmm.
negative emotions and feelings. And so there's a lot of different ways to use the word quali, but it means having a self-care regimen
Hmm.
with purpose and intention.
Oh, I love that. I really do. I think, and it's nice that you said it, that it's for everything. It's not just for that, what you would typically think, oh, I do my 10-step
Yeah.
skincare routine. It's more than that. Um, what would you say, right now? I mean, and this might be a harder question, or is there any treatments, or are there anything that you see becoming more popular, or people are asking for more now?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a huge interest in regenerative aesthetics.
Hmm.
So that is really harnessing our own body's potential,
Okay.
and also clinical procedures
Mhm.
in the range of stem cell derived procedures, and that's considered regenerative aesthetics. Also, even things like fat grafting kind of
Oh,
come into
yeah, I've
it.
heard that too.
So we're basically using our own fat, right? Harvesting fat from either the belly, the thigh area, and then using that as a way to restore volume in the
Huh.
face.
Oh, okay.
So, and the reason behind that, and a very simple way to think about it, is because our own fat
Mm.
carries stem cells and growth factors that help to create a more
Mhm.
youthful appearance. And there's a lot of ways to deep dive into the technology. There's nano fat, and then there's fat grafting. There's lots of different ways of processing it, but that's one area
Mm.
of regenerative aesthetics that's very interesting. Then
That's
there's also PRP, which is
yes.
platelet, right? Platelet-rich plasma. That's where we draw blood, your own blood,
Mm.
spin it down, and that process allows for the blood to separate between what we call liquid gold,
Mm.
which is a plasma component that has the growth factors in it. And then we use that to either place topically over the face after a laser treatment or microneedling. We also use it to inject into the scalp for hair growth.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
also used in scar revision procedures. And so lots of uses for that.
Yeah.
Then sort of the newest, and I say newest because these procedures have been used in Asia for quite a long time, for in certain areas of Europe, and now kind of trickling into the US, is exosome therapy.
Oh,
So exosomes, you can think of it as cells between stem cells. So
okay.
stem cells communicate with each other through text messages called exosomes. They're really almost like little packages
Hmm.
of growth factors and amino acids and proteins.
Mm.
And those exosomes are purified in a very
Hmm.
specific process and then placed into a specific container.
Oh.
And it's lyophilized, which means it's freeze dried,
Mhm.
and it comes to us, and then we actually mix it with a special hyaluronic serum,
Okay.
and used in the same way that we use PRP, which is
Oh,
after laser, after microneedling as a serum. So you can see how this field is booming, and
yeah.
it's really harnessing the power of our own body or the power of stem cells in general
Right.
to be able to regenerate skin and improve and boost collagen formation, things
Oh,
like that.
that's so incredible. It really is. It's so interesting to me to hear what's going on. And like, there's just so many different techniques and ways to just improve. I think just improve your overall, I mean, well-being essentially in so many different ways, both physically and mentally. The last thing I kind of want to talk about, and I think it a little bit goes back to Aram, because you do have a whole ritual set, and that's something that I guess people can still get on your site.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, that was inspired by our involvement in a BBC series called In
yes.
Pursuit of Wellness. So I actually was in Tel Aviv a couple of months ago because that's where the series launched. So it's a project that is in collaboration with the Global Wellness Institute, which is really the think tank for all things wellness around
Mm,
the globe, and BBC Storyworks. And we were part of a collection of films
mm,
that showcase different elements of wellness around the world. Because when you think about wellness and what it means to people, I mean, it's so many different things, right? Some
yeah.
people think about sitting in a sauna.
Right.
People think about traveling to a resort. I mean,
Mm,
it's such a diverse um,
yeah.
area of discussion and definition. And we were featured in the culture section of this series, In Pursuit of Wellness, and it's streaming online right now. And this project took me to Korea and really to the root of where we were inspired to incorporate tea meditation. I went to an ancient tea house,
Um,
and the film features a tea ritual, which inspires our Aram retreat
mm.
experience.
Oh,
And it the ritual box, which is what you
yes.
have right
I love
now, features our signature white lotus tea. So white lotus is a really special element because when you visit just the palaces in Korea, you'll see a very special garden,
it. Mm,
specifically in Changdeokgung Palace, which is where where parts of the film were featured. There's a White Lotus Pond. This area is in the Secret Garden.
huh,
The Secret Garden is a place where only the kings and queens and the royal family could visit. It's a place where the beautiful place where the king would go and meditate,
mm,
actually. He's making all of these decisions. He's sitting in the secret garden. He's meditating. The lotus pond is in front of him. And the lotus flower holds such a deep symbolism in Asian culture because it grows in very muddy waters.
mm,
So the lotus pond is very muddy. And what happens is that the lotus flower emerges to the surface and blooms. And it's a symbol of resilience,
mm.
beauty, um, and that's what we capture in the film and also in this ritual box.
Oh,
So you have the Aram tea set, you're brewing white lotus tea, which is a very sort of subtle,
I
non-caffeinated.
love it. It's so
So
good.
it's it has like a slightly sweet honey
Mm,
note to it as well. And it comes with this, at home, tea meditation experience, which is in that card. And it has that three-step tea meditation, which we discussed, which is thinking about gratitude and thinking about, things that you're very appreciative of.
mhm.
And so you're able to experience that at home and also experience Aram skincare that comes with our, canvas cleanser and cocoon balm and chrysalis gel. So it's really a self-care, experience at home.
Yeah, I did the whole thing, and I did it a few times. I loved it. I think you really tie it all in really perfectly together. Um, I love tea myself, and I do believe in the healing power of teas, but then also in the meditation process. And now I'm very intrigued by what you have there. I think that'll be something else to look into. That's in New York City, correct? You're
Yeah, so Airem is located in Syosset, Long Island.
okay. Oh, okay, Long Island. Okay, nice. And I'm gonna put all links to everything that we spoke about, even the film, for people to watch that as well. But then also to locate you and talk to you more. If anybody, I guess, is interested, I'd also like you to share your social media where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram at Airem Beauty Rituals.
Perfect.
And also my personal Instagram too is at Dr. Eunice Park.
Excellent. I love it. This was an absolutely wonderful conversation. I feel like you covered a lot of different topics, and you are very comfortable and easy to talk to about this stuff. I feel like some of the things, I think, like you said, we women were challenged by, what to do, and as we age, what is the right process. And I think it really just depends, like you said, on each individual and who we are. And you've kind of opened that space to all of it, which is really nice.
No, I appreciate that, and I think that we always want to be able to take the opportunity to um, just highlight the fact that it's not really about doing the treatments. It's really a more holistic concept of feeling confident
Mm.
about who we are, right? And having that sort of internal reflection on beauty and making sure that that syncs with our external appearance and our outer reflection. And we always want to be able to present the best version of ourselves, but I think that we can only do that in a more healthy and holistic
Mm.
way when we combine both sort of the internal and external aspects of beauty together.
I love that. I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Park. This is wonderful. I'm
Thank
happy
you.
to get to talk to you today.
Yeah.
Have a
Thank you for
great
having
day.
us.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day. We'll talk to you
Take
soon.
care.
Thanks. Bye.